Welcome to GNT, your one-stop shop for gaming news and whatever else we want to talk about. I'm Nick.
And I'm Brandon.
And I'm Mike.
All right. Here from our change around set. We're still messing with it, so it's probably not going to be the final product. But we'll start with LA Noire, the downloadable version. Doesn't fit on the Nintendo Switch.
That's a shocker.
You can download it, but unless you have an external SD card, it's not going to fit. It's 29 gigs, which really isn't that big of a... I mean, what's Grand Theft Auto is like 50. The Switch...
No, Grand Theft Auto right now is like 70, I believe.
Oh. The Switch comes with 32 gigs, but 6 of it is used by the system, so...
You know, and not to mention that my phone has 96, you know. I'm just saying.
Pretty sad.
That's crazy.
Now, granted, I do have a 64 gig SD card, but, you know.
That's still, let's say you're going to fit. If you had 64 on this, what are you going to fit?
Yeah.
Nothing.
I just...
I mean, like you said, you have an SD card that's this big, that's 64 gigs.
You know,
and they can only get 32 gigs.
I mean, it's just... I don't know their logic. I mean, if they're going to try to be a contender, even in their own market, even in their niche market, you still need to be able to what word am I trying to look for here? You still need to be able to have offerings for developers to make other games for your console. It just can't be your niche games because, case in point, I mean, can't even fit one game on the console, and that's an old game.
Yeah.
Now it's probably got a little bit of an HD remake to it, but it just blows my mind that they wouldn't come with a bigger hard drive or a bigger storage option.
So I'm surprised the producers of that would even try to make a version that runs on the Switch when it takes up so much space of the base memory.
I was just going to say,
why would they even try?
They have to look at it and say, okay, if they get on Xbox, people will download it without a second thought. But
because the smallest Xbox is 500 gigs.
The Switch, they're going to have to go out and get an SD card or something.
And even with the Xbox, 500 gigs, it's enough, but it's not plentiful.
No.
I almost think that's like a bare minimum for...
Yeah.
It's getting to that point. I have 6 games. You can probably have 7 or 8, probably, and you're bulging at the seams with that as far as that goes. But it's terabyte even kind of has me worried.
Yeah.
Now, would the Switch support an external drive?
I don't think. I think it has to have an SD card because of the fact that it's
portable.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think that's the because the game has to fit on that SD card to be inside the console whenever the console's away from the dock. Which my question is okay, it supports SD cards, but up to what size SD card does it support? I mean, now we're getting into crazy big SD cards. I mean, we're seeing, I think they have a terabyte out. An SD card that's a terabyte, I think. But, would the Switch support it? Probably not.
I have a feeling it won't. Yeah.
So, I know, I think my cell phone supports up to 256 gig. And I'm sure that's probably pretty much the standard right now. But, I mean, does it even support that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
GameSpot played through Call of Duty World War II's campaign, and they said it took the guy 6 hours and 23 minutes on normal difficulty. At first I was like, wow, only 6 hours, but I guess that most Call of Duty games are only around 7 hours, so I mean, I think probably most people are getting it for the multiplayer mainly anyway.
Right. I mean, that seems about right for any first-person shooter campaign. I don't think you ever have a real lengthy campaign. I don't think they're, known for their stories, even though some of them can have good stories. There was also mention of one of the missions being about espionage and being a really good mission. So, it's one of those things where I guess, I mean, they shouldn't be surprised or disappointed with the size of the single player campaign.
Yeah, I have it pre-ordered. I'm kind of excited to play. I haven't really gotten into a Call of Duty game in a while, probably since one of the Modern Warfare games. But so we'll see how it is. PlayStation VR is getting a Stranger Things experience. There are no date or details, but there was a short trailer. Well, I don't want to say anything because Mike hasn't watched it yet, but I'll just say I think I'm 6 episodes in.
To what? Season 1?
Season 1.
Okay.
And just from that, I can tell that I would think that would be a really cool VR.
Oh.
I think they could do some cool stuff with it.
Yeah, well, I just got a wild hair up my ass on Sunday and decided to watch it because Season 2 came out.
Mm.
So I watched almost the entire Season 1 on Sunday, and I'm 3 episodes into Season 2. Well, I got that far in on Monday, and I've been playing Assassin's Creed Tuesday and last night, so I haven't watched any more episodes. But the first season really, really, really impressed me. It got rave reviews and stuff, and it seemed to be doing pretty good, you know. And boy, it was one of those things where I was fearful it wouldn't live up to the hype, but boy, did it ever. I mean, the writing was good, the production values were good, the story was good. I mean, it's just the actors the kids were great.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was like I was watching an 80s movie, but modern. It is just some next level stuff. I mean, if you're into video games, if you're a product of the 80s or a fan of the 80s, I mean, this show just hits on so many marks, and have some curveballs thrown in there. Really good acting. I think Winona Ryder, such a strong showing for her.
And the guy, what's Hopper's?
The I like his character, and
the more I watch this, the more excited I get for Hellboy, because he's the new Hellboy. So
yeah, he does a really good job as far as this goes, and then on top of that, they make these characters, like these adult characters, deep, and they build on him. Really, at the end of season 1, they do a good job of progressing his character and really filling in some blanks about his past. And then season 2, it's good stuff. I mean, I'm anxious to watch the rest of it, but it's one of those pleasant surprises where, like I said, I wasn't sure about it going in, but
yeah,
I'm hooked. I'll definitely finish watching season 2, watch season 3, watch it through and through, because it's such a good story.
And it's just a beautiful show. I think it's one of the HDR shows on Netflix. So
I don't have the HDR.
Oh, you know. Okay, so it looks really good.
Do you have HDR for your Netflix?
Yeah, I think it's like $2 extra.
Looks like I'm gonna have to upgrade. Thanks a lot, Nick.
I gotta put that show on my list.
You really ought to. It's. You'll watch the first 10 minutes of it, and you'll be hooked. The first 10 minutes of it, I know you'll love. I know it. So,
yeah, it's wild.
Speaking of I just wanted to bring up PSVR. How is it doing? To me, it didn't sound like it was doing very well.
I don't. They said that there's a new version of the headset coming out that's slightly revised. I did see that because this week was Paris Game Week, PlayStation Paris Game Week, and they had a lot of announcements and stuff. And this new headset, slightly redesigned, was one of them. I think, regardless of how it's doing, or it's too early for them to pull the plug. I think this is almost. Yeah. I think for PlayStation, this is almost the equivalent of the Kinect, and I think they've got to see it through for a decent amount of time, whether it's not doing well or not, and put it through its paces to see if it'll take off. I think they've got too much invested in it just to ditch it at this point.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's still at this point, just in VR in general, I think people are hesitant to do it. Because, that one's one of the cheaper ones, but it's a decent amount of money to...
Oh, it's still pretty costly. If you compare it, it's comparable in value to... how much was the Oculus? 6?
Yeah, originally it was about $800.
The Oculus? Or
no, sorry, without the touch. With the touch, it was about $800.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So the base one was about $6. Yeah.
Okay, and I think that the PSVR either comes in at $300 or $400.
See,
So
I was
it's
thinking, I mean, it's like getting another console. Right?
yeah. I mean, the price is significant if you're gonna dive in there. So it's not as costly as your other versions, and it's not as involved either because it only has the camera as your tracking sensor, as opposed to having 2 or 3 different sensors across a room that are tracking your movements. So,
right.
There are some differences there. So,
and next we have EA will discount Battlefront 2 around the time of release for The Last Jedi. You know, like hype from the movie. You know, I guess they're hoping we'll get people interested. So, if you're waiting or considering getting Battlefront 2, or just want to wait till it gets discounted, then you can do that.
no comment there.
It comes out. I didn't realize it comes out the same day as Justice League and The Punisher. So,
That'll be the 22nd.
Was it 17th?
Oh, November 17th.
Like
yeah. Okay.
So
Justice League.
That'll be a loaded weekend for some people. PlayerUnknown's Battle.
I would have to be loaded to partake
Where's
in.
the Batman?
I'll have to be loaded to partake in 2 out of the 3 of those.
We forgot to put Batfleck up beside you.
Yeah, no, Batfleck is done.
PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds will launch in early access for Xbox One on December 12th for $30. And that's a game I'm really looking forward to.
I think that's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good deal, too, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to do well on the consoles.
I think so.
I'm anxious to play it. The way it's designed, it makes me kind of nervous because I don't like just being nervous that I'm shrinking and I got all these people gunning for me and stuff. And I don't know if I could play it without a couple friends, but then I don't trust the friends that I'd have playing it with me to not be like, oh, hey, bang, and shoot me. And
Hey,
really
you got a
just
cool gun, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I get,
All I got's a pistol.
But I think the concept is really fun, and I think that just the whole idea of it is enticing enough for me to overcome my stupid fear of being betrayed.
No, I played it on PC and I really liked it. My PC can't play where I'd like it to, so I'm gonna wait and get it on the console. But
how long does it take for the map to shrink down to the center enough? I've watched some games, but I've never really gotten a good idea of how long it takes.
The first it takes a while for it to start shrinking, but once it starts shrinking,
I was gonna say it
moves pretty quick.
It's relatively pretty
it probably speeds up too. Your first, because of the fact that everybody's spread out, your first ring would probably take the longest to collapse in because you want to herd the people in closer together, but you also want to give them time to make those first initial kills and contacts and stuff and rallies. Like, hey, where are you at on the map? And try to rendezvous with people and stuff. So I could see the first ring taking the longest, but overall, that was kind of what I was thinking too, is that the overall time for the match can't be too long, because at that point then it might become boring.
Let's see what he says.
It's our new setup.
Yeah, we moved our setup a little farther away, and
he doesn't like Call of Duty.
Doesn't like Call of Duty.
That's all right.
It says then you hit a wall.
Yeah. F
Call of Duty, then you hit a wall.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, we hit the wall.
So yeah, really looking forward to that one. But it is a little, at least first couple times I played it, it's like you're going in and like if you're in a building, you hear something, it's like, oh crap, because if you die, you just start another game, but it's not like you instantly respawn, so you really want to be careful and pick your fights, and so that's why I like it. It's not like you just run gun, then you die, and then you come right back and keep fighting. Wildlands is a documentary companion for Ghost Recon Wildlands, and it just came out, and it covers the drug trade in Bolivia with interviews of people on both sides of the fight, so I guess people involved and then people trying to stop it. So I watched it. It was a quick trailer and it looked pretty interesting. I might check that out.
Unfortunately, that game is pretty much toast. I mean, I know they released a prestige mode. There was a tier mode, and now there's a prestige mode, and I just don't have the desire to dive back in. And I mean, if I was playing, if like we sat down and say, all right, this Saturday we're gonna play Wildlands, then I might, okay, let's do prestige mode or something.
Yeah.
But very rarely. I mean, like I said, AAA games. I mean, this is prime season for AAA games coming out. I just got Assassin's Creed, and then you've got like Battlefront and Call of Duty and Wolfenstein and all these games coming out. So it's just hard to try to get excited about a game, an old game.
Yeah. I guess they were going to try to have this come out right with the game, but this got pushed back. So I fired it up. I think it was last week. I played it a little bit, and I tried the prestige mode, and I just don't care to go back and do the missions over again. It's I already did that. So I mean, maybe if they did come out with DLC, but not.
Yeah, not
in the game
sense of DLC.
Yeah.
And that's all we're gonna say about that.
In an interview with The Telegraph, Jim Ryan, PlayStation's global sales head, downplayed the Xbox One X hardware specs. And this is a quote from the interview. He said, "Specs are interesting, but that's all they are, specifications. The proof is in how the games look." Now, I mean, I'm not an expert, but I thought the specs kind of gave you how the game looked.
Well, they greatly determine how the game looks.
Or how it should look, depending on
depending on the developer. Yes. Depending on if the developer, enhances the game or comes out with, a way to increase the resolution on the console for that game. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of I'm surprised at the number of games that are going backwards as far as, going and making the resolution better. Like The Witcher 3, and I had Assassin's Creed on order. I was at Walmart on Sunday. Witcher 3 for Xbox One, $20.
Wow.
It took so much willpower to just walk away. Witcher 3 was a gorgeous game, and I can't even imagine playing on a high resolution. It's making me want to go buy it.
Yeah. So, I mean, they just came out. I think they just had some conference or something. PlayStation did. So, sure, timing it to try to take away some interest from the Xbox one. But I think mainly people are going to get the Xbox. They're going to get it. I don't know if many people are going to be swayed back and forth at this point.
I don't get why Sony's, like I said, putting up. Sony is winning. You've won the fight. At this point, it's almost a dick move to not allow cross-platform play, to try to bash. The console's more powerful. Let it go. You played your hand first. You had the PS4 Pro. It was more powerful. Xbox's is coming second, and obviously they're going to try and top you, which they are. So that's the end of it. Just let's move on.
Yeah, and if there is a negative to the console, it's not like they can't point it out. But I mean, it's like specs are important. You can't just say, "Oh, specs don't matter." It's like, well, no. I mean, the specs do make a difference. But it has been revealed that you also play as Mary Jane in the new Spider-Man game. PlayStation was showing Spider-Man a little bit. And also Miles Morales is in the game. Now he was Spider-Man in, I forget, one of the comics. He became Spider-Man, so a lot of people were excited about that. Community director James Stevenson said, "We're not talking about Miles right now. We're only talking about Peter, but Miles does have a role in the game, so he's in there. He may not take over, but
yeah. I mean, the good thing about this is that it's not trying to be based off a movie. That it's its own game, and I think that's gonna bode well for it. I think that's gonna, I think it'll do well. And if it's in the same fashion as like the Arkham Knight games, but with the flexibility of Spider-Man, I really think it'll do really well.
I did too. I think it looks really good.
Yeah, I was definitely impressed with what they were showing.
Laurence Fishburne has a role in Ant-Man and the Wasp, but is also developing a secret Marvel project he said that there was too much legal red tape for his original pitch to Marvel, but then they came back with something else, I guess. He'll play Bill Foster in Ant-Man and the Wasp, who becomes Giant Man in the comics. So I don't know if that's the direction they're going to take or if they'll do something different, but apparently he's not in Justice League, obviously, so he's kind of coming over doing some Marvel movies. Disney is setting new terms for theaters. That went to show The Last Jedi. They will receive 65% of ticket sales instead of the typical 55%. The movie must be shown in the biggest auditorium for 4 weeks, and theaters cannot pull a single showing unless Disney gives them permission. And if any of the rules are broken, Disney will take an additional 5%, pay up to 70%.
Money grab.
Yeah, what a bunch of money-grubbing whores.
Yeah. I was looking at this and I was thinking it's kind of a weird thing because I love Disney for buying Lucasfilms and making more Star Wars movies, but relax a little.
Well, at the same time, they're also kind of dicking around, and they shut down a couple big games that were coming out, Star Wars games. They killed them. I don't know. I mean, they made another Death Star. Damn Disney.
I mean, aren't they making enough? Aren't they going to make enough money?
They have
the way it is normal.
They have
all the marketing.
Well,
and
hey,
all the...
I can live with them crying and screwing because episode 7 was not that great in my eyes, so I can get them dicking around with it as long as they don't mess with the Marvel universe too much. Yeah. That's whenever there'll be problems because Marvel's had a pretty strong showing through and through.
Oh yeah.
All their movies.
That's what I mean. I mean, they have Marvel, Star Wars. I mean, amongst all their original stuff, it's like you have the money. You have everything.
Yeah. Why do you? Yeah. I mean, they're just unless they said we're taking this additional money to help build Star Wars Land.
Yeah.
Then I'd be like, all right, cool, game on. I'm fine with that. But just to be like, oh yeah, we're lining our pockets because it's Star Wars and we know fanboys are going to go watch it. Then that's kind of shitty. Yeah.
And I mean, big theaters, I'm sure will be fine, but smaller ones, I'm sure that makes a difference and will hurt. But I don't know.
Speaking of Marvel movies, I just saw before I come down here that the new Thor movie is like one of the highest rated Marvel movies yet. It said. I saw a little headline.
That's got Jeff Goldblum in it.
Oh yeah,
that's it.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean that bodes well for it.
So I'm excited for it.
Oh, I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, they said this one definitely took a turn in a different direction that the other Thor movies haven't. They said this is more comedic, which is fine by me. The other Thor movies weren't really like, even his intro story wasn't like him kicking butt and taking names. I mean, in the beginning it was a little bit, and then it was dry, and then at the end he was kind of cool, but not a lot of that. And the second one, more of the same. It was, he had that cool fight in the beginning, then the boring stuff, not really a lot of fights. He did fight the elves a few times, but I mean, he's Thor. I mean, he should be kicking butt and taking names, not they make these battles a little harder than they should be. I mean, they should really make the main protagonist throw in a twist to really make it look like, okay, that they're not outpowering Thor. They might have tricked him or outsmarted him or something.
Right.
But, Thor should be like,
Right, and I could see maybe the end battle when he got one of the Infinity Stones, the Ether, but but the other ones, I agree with that.
Danny Elfman, who's the composer for Justice League, was asked about Batman's theme in the movie, and I watched the interview. I mean, there was a short clip for this question, but he was taken back. He was like, "We're using Batman's theme," and the guy was like, "Oh, so are you using the one from the Nolan movies?" Or he's like, "No, Batman's theme, the one I made." So he's using the 1989 Batman theme in Justice League, I guess.
Michael Keaton's gonna be rolling over.
I'm not a big fan. Not that I dislike the theme, but I kind of like each movie and each actor having their own
individuality.
Something new,
yeah. So
I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Keaton hits Ben Affleck in the face for stealing his theme.
The tarnish.
I wasn't gonna go there, but I was just saying steal the theme.
Tarnish the name.
Yeah.
And then we had another episode of The Walking Dead this weekend, and what did you think?
What? It was another episode of The Walking Dead. I don't know. I just
Didn't like it?
no.
I really liked it. I thought this week's was, I thought it was solid.
I just still think that it's just they tried to, okay, they came in and in the first episode and they're like, all right, they're cold, calculated, trained, and here they go and they execute this plan. And in my mind, at the end of the episode 1, the plan was stupid. It's like ammo is such a rare commodity. I mean, it's always been, how much ammo do you have? I got one shot, or I got, Now they're just shooting glass for random reasons, which I guess I know that stem back to them about making that comment and stuff. Well, but a lot of wasted ammunition, and it really was even further. Okay, shooting the glass was part of a plan. All right, so that wasn't necessarily a waste of ammo. Okay, then you go to the kingdom, are going to take out an outpost or something, or they're moving in on somebody, and there's one guy, and 15 people fire at this one guy, and they do hit him, but they shooting like stormtroopers, and they wasted so much round. Then he throws a grenade. Everybody gets disoriented except for him. He makes a clean getaway. Well, I take it back. He unleashes walkers and then makes a clean getaway. All right, so that's no big deal. So then they have this other idea that they're going to raid this other outpost. I don't get how, once again, if you're driving up, you have the jump on them. They shoot, and they took out maybe one guy in that first initial drive up. That's just stupid. And then I don't know.
It was funny in the Talking Dead. Chris Hardwick did say, he was like, we had a little stormtrooper shooting in this episode, and Scott Gimple was there, and he was like, well, and then Hardwick was like, yeah, there was some stormtrooper shooting, and he was like, okay.
Well, and then at the end it was like, okay, Morgan gets shot. You think he might be dead, and then it's like, okay, Rick gets the crap beat out of him, and then he has a moral dilemma because he killed a baby's father. Well, that's why you having a breakdown. This is Rick. We're gonna go and take the fight to them. I
didn't mind that. I actually kind of liked that part because I thought it easily could have been someone else coming into Alexandria, killing him, and then finding his daughter. So I was like,
well, that's my point, is that, and we talked about this, I think, off screen and maybe a little bit on it, but in my mind, Rick and his group have pushed Negan's group way further than Negan's group has done to them. Yeah, they burnt their beds. How many people has Rick killed up until this point? Countless. And Negan still only have killed a handful of Rick's people. There is something wrong. Yes, maybe Negan's rules weren't right or appropriate or anything, but to date, I think he's still less of an aggressor than Rick at this point. And my point is that, yeah, we've followed Rick's journey from Georgia up to Alexandria, and we've got to know those characters and stuff, but it just, I don't know, I just have a tough time, then at the end of the episode, everybody's, they're beaten, their spirits are down because of all this stuff that happened, and and it's just like, I don't know, it's not, I'm just not feeling it, and I don't know if I have a chip on my shoulder with them because of how sucky season 7 was. I don't know what it is, but it's just not on the same caliber. Oh, and then there was another shitty green screen scene whenever Rick was coming down that hall. It was...
Oh, you think that was green screen?
Oh, if it wasn't, it was bad shooting. I mean, it really looked shitty. Once he got to the end, it wasn't until he got to the end that it took a turn for the worst, and I'm like, whoa, what the hell happened there? You'll have to rewatch it.
Yeah, I will. I didn't notice that.
Because it was one of those where I was like, oh, wait a minute, what the hell happened here? You know, I was like, But I mean, like, you know, I don't know. There's just too many. I don't know. They're trying to go balls to it, and I think it's like super not what season 7 was, but it's also super not what they would be doing. I mean, yes, you have to be aggressive, but at the same time, it's like stupid aggressive. It's like the stormtrooper shooting and stuff. Like I said, if you're doing these well laid out plans and stuff, you're gonna have people in place. Like whenever they're like, Jesus, like, oh, I know where they're going. You can't tell me that if you weren't laying out a plan on the same outpost you did before, and they had people go out that same door, that you wouldn't have snipers or somebody ready at that door. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Yep. I mean, like, if you were planning these cold, calculated attacks, you're going to have that contingent, especially at a place that you already attacked once. You know what their exit strategy is. So, to be that stupid, but trying to be coming off as that, it just conflicts itself. It's just a lot of inconsistencies. And I guess, you know, they try to create character arcs and some of those aspects they do a good job, but I think that this, like, an overall logic, you can't have those arcs. And that's really what they got going on now, is these logic arcs that are going, like, you know, oh, we got to be safe and we got to conserve ammo and stuff. And then it's like, it's World War III. Let's just shoot everything.
Yeah.
I can see that. You know, and then everybody getting injured. You know, it just doesn't, I don't know. I'm just, you know, Rick's being held at gunpoint. And then, what's his name? The one guy, his boyfriend got shot.
Aaron.
Then, there's just a lot of things where people were hurt and I guess, yeah, they're showing that that's part of war. Yeah. But it was like too much, like, everything's going great to like, oh, everything's gone to shit.
Trouble,
yeah. From the beginning of the episode, it's like complete opposite. It's like, our plan failed. You know, I don't know. I guess I don't know if my expectations are too high or it is bad to a degree and I'm just magnifying it. I don't know. I mean, but for me, it's just, I almost didn't watch it. And going into Sunday, I mean, especially I was watching Stranger Things clear up into that point, and I took a little break about a half hour before, started watching that, and I finished watching it. I'm like, I'm going to go to bed. So I was laying in bed, and I'm like, I can't just watch that. I'm like, I fired up Stranger Things and watched another episode just to get that bad taste out of my mind, you know? But
maybe in my eyes they can do no wrong, but I don't know, I really liked it. I like the fact that, you know, they had this plan, they're going into this war, but they're finding out it's not that easy. I mean, they're going killing people, and he finds a baby, and then other people, you know, Jesus having trouble with it, and it's like, yeah, going into this and just massacring these people isn't, you know, it's hard to just walk away from.
I get them trying to portray that. I agree with you. That's a solid idea, but it was like too much. It was like, okay, if in that whole episode you go through and you have all that stuff, and then maybe you have where Rick killed that father and then sees the baby, or you have where Jesus is like, oh, we can't kill this guy, he could be innocent, blah blah blah, then gets held at gunpoint. But having all these certain things, like Morgan, you know, he was not all about killing, and he almost gets shot, and then he turns into John Wick. Yeah, that was cool. You know, well, and I didn't mind that he went, because I know that Morgan can operate like that. Like, he's a smooth operator. But it's just like all these. I think they are trying to show too much. They jammed it too much. Like, not the action. The action wasn't too much. It was just the flips in everybody's scripts that was too much. It's like the episode was
too many crises amongst.
The episode was too busy for its own good. I mean, it was just like too many coincidences, like too many failures in the operation. Which I know that it wouldn't go smooth, but like I'm saying, like every single operation meant to to some failure to some degree.
Yeah.
You know? So it was just, I don't know.
Like they couldn't just have one of the groups just go in, wipe them out, and then be fine. And
yeah.
I think it's kind of lost something from the days of when they were just trying to survive. Like you mentioned, them spraying all these bullets around. Back when they were walking the road, they didn't have food, they didn't have water, and they were scraping. And it's kind of lost. It's kind of zombie apocalypse has kind of been pushed aside a little bit. So that's a side that I've kind of. I know they're trying to focus on the war now, but I think it may have lost something that way a little bit.
And I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I think at the end of the day, that they're trying to show that it's almost at this point it's not the walkers are the greatest enemy. It's that maybe they're themselves are the greatest enemies. Maybe their greed or their will to survive is their greatest enemy, because they're willing to. I mean, Rick now is not like the Rick of old, which yes, that's character progression, but Rick was really unwilling. I guess maybe not unwilling, but there was a time where he was more compassionate and more willing to take people in. And I understand that can bite you in the ass. And they've proven that. But I just, like, whenever the risk to reward doesn't pay out, I can't believe that they've lost that much logic that they think that their only route is to go, you know, the way that they're going. Like I said, I think from the very get-go, an allegiance with Negan would have been the way to go. But this is logically speaking. This isn't speaking from trying to write a story.
Yeah.
Obviously, if they make an allegiance with Negan and they all live happily ever after and they're hopping down the road, jumping and skipping, that's not going to make for a good TV show. But at the same time, and I don't know how they portray it in the comics. If I'm sure it's different.
I read up to when Negan kills Glenn. And from what I got was that Negan is just a bad guy. Like, they never heard of Negan, ran into Negan. Negan just walked up, saw him, and killed Glenn just because. And in the TV show, it was repercussion for killing his men. So I think they're trying to show, like the governor, I think they're trying to humanize him and make it more of a gray area instead of, no, he's just an evil guy.
Well, I think that, but in humanizing him, is in, like I said, in a story that you have logic pretty much going the whole way through. I think if you look at that conflict logically, that Rick's in the wrong. Rick has definitely killed more people of Negan's than Negan has killed of him. And the fact that he wouldn't want to work, that you wouldn't want to band together and have one giant group of people to take on the zombie apocalypse. Like I said, or like Mike said, the zombie apocalypse has taken a back seat. The real enemy are the walkers, and trying to set up a community or a place to live with resources that are, well, okay, so you have to worry about resources. Used to be, but now food, they haven't mentioned food in a long time. No. Ammunition hasn't been mentioned in a long time. All of a sudden, they just got all the bullets that they ever needed. And then medical supplies. I mean, they did do about the prenatal vitamins for Maggie, but
they haven't had to worry about any diseases like they ran into in the prison either.
Right, which was a cool little. I mean, in its own right, that was. I mean, that cold stretched over what, or flu or whatever it was. It stretched over what, 4-5 episodes?
I'd say about half of season 4.
Yeah, I think it was. I'm trying to think, because we had the mid-season finale, and then we had 2 episodes of The Governor, so 5 episodes.
Yeah. So I mean, and that was riveting, because it's like, not only were they battling the walkers, but they were battling this disease that could kill people and turn them into walkers, and you'd not know it. So they had to quarantine people that were sick, and I mean, it was really dynamic. And then this is like, oh, let's just kill people, and okay, we're going to use the walkers, and just like they really didn't I mean, and they used the walkers a little bit in that battle that they were in, but it really didn't turn the tide. You know, that one girl got bit, and then that was it. That was really all the walkers did, was take out one person, or maybe two, but I can't remember if they showed.
I don't know if it maybe brought them out into the open trying to escape and they got shot. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of forced their hand a little bit,
but it didn't. But they didn't capitalize on that. Like, once again, the walkers took a back seat. Where only the one walker bit one person. That's what you saw. That's for walker activity. That's all you saw in that episode. And I think it's The Walking Dead. That's the name of the show. I just think that the way that they're going about this season, yeah, it's more action packed, but it's on a stupid level, and it just doesn't. It's not consistent. It's just not consistent with what they've done in the past and what they've built on. You know, clear up until like, you know, the journey till they got out to Alexandria. It was a pretty consistent struggle. You know, walkers are the enemy. People can be bad too. The lack of resources is really crazy, you know. And then once they got to Alexandria, it's like all that certain stuff, like walkers. I guess the thing broke down and walkers did get in, but they banded together and took them out like nothing. Which, yeah, at some point you are going to become pretty efficient at killing walkers. But at the end of the day, then that's whenever they need to bring in new dynamic ways that the walkers are threatening to a degree.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know, the disease was the case in point. So now you need to do something else that's, you know, or just make them more prevalent, that they're gathering or something, or like a herd like they did, you know. I guess there's only so many ways you can make the walkers threatening. But at the same time, if a bulk of your population was killed in the initial outbreak, and we're 3 years, would you say?
Yeah.
There's not as much decomposition of these walkers as they've showed some of them being really decomposed, but then a bulk of them are not as decomposed, which doesn't. It either means that the major city centers or the bulk of the population didn't die from the initial outbreak, but then you would have seen more survivors in the early part of the thing. I don't know. It's not stacking up, and I guess, I mean, it doesn't have to be realistic because they're walkers, but I don't know. I guess, like I said, the way they've done it so far up to this point, and now it's shifted gears so much that I don't know if it's the right direction, or if, like I said, I'm just being overcritical or what, but it's just not doing it for me again. So,
how about Morales coming back? Do you care about that? Not a big deal, or
where was he from originally?
Season 1, he was at the original Atlanta camp.
That camp and that
And
base and that water hole they were in.
When they went to the CDC, he left with his family and they went somewhere else.
Remember that place they set up camp where they
Yeah, and then whatchamacallit's sister got bit there. Yeah. Then they were with them up to the CDC?
No, when they left for the CDC, he and his family left and went somewhere else. I think they were going to Fort Benning or somewhere. I forget. But yeah, they split up, and unfortunately it was spoiled for me through YouTube comments. So thanks YouTube comments. But no, I don't know if someone saw him on set and figured it out, but I like it. I mean, I hope that they do something with him, and it's not like, hey, he's back and then he dies in 2 episodes. But I think it's kind of a cool card to have and to have played. You know, bring someone back from season 1, but I mean, it's not going to be like a game changer or anything.
Yeah, I mean, to me, you told me that, and I I know the connection now, but to me, it's not earth-shattering, or it's, like I said, that they've took the emphasis off of the walkers and put it too much on this other garbage to make it noteworthy, I guess. I don't know.
That's one review I watched. He said Morales is back, and for some people that might be exciting. For most of the people, they just went to Google and typed in "Who is Morales" because no one remembers him.
Yeah.
Yep, that's fair.
So.
Anything else? You said you've been playing Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I got it, and my intentions are to play it on the One S and then play it on my X to see how much. But it's really impressive as far as graphically on the S. I'm impressed with the draw distances and how big the world is, and the gameplay itself. You know, they said everything was in fast forward and stuff, but it just doesn't seem to move. Like your characters and stuff just don't seem to move as fast as I think they should. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, but it's good. I mean, like I said, I've been playing. I got the gold edition, so I got some bonus content and stuff, and I got some Helix credit, which is part of a hot topic of debate because it's essentially you can pay to win. You can not level your character up. You can buy ability points with the Helix credits. You can buy gold with the Helix credits. You can buy resources with the Helix credits. So, basically, yeah, you could have your character be a level 1, but you could unlock all the skills and upgrade all of your armor to an extent. I think there's one vendor that sells another. You'd have to progress in the story up to a certain point to once you could buy the one crafting material that's kind of hard to come by. You can buy it, and then at that point you could spend the money and play through, which is kind of a neat idea. I mean, in the story, your character is kind of building up his strength to take on these people, so they do play on it, but it also be kind of cool to be that good. I mean, it's not a huge emphasis of it yet. I mean, that's I'm not real far into it, but it's kind of neat to have the ability to be like, okay, well, I could go through and spend, X amount of dollars. My guy could be really kick butt and just go and take names. But
yeah,
it is fun. You like bow gameplay. You would really like the bow gameplay in this game because it's got 4 different styles of bows that each act differently.
Yeah.
You've got one that kind of fires quick, so it's kind of like not a machine gun, but the way that you fire is like you point at a target and you automatically draw back and shoot before you have to get more arrows in your quiver. So it's kind of like a gun. Then you have your standard bow, which is good for aiming, and you can draw back. When you actually draw back, you hold the trigger and he draws back, and then you draw back a little further, and you can shoot shields and take them down and stuff. And then you have a bow that's kind of like a shotgun that you put like 4 or 5 arrows notched at one time, and then you can shoot a group of people, and it's kind of neat. Yeah. And then there's the Predator's bow, which I think would be hands down your favorite bow. It's the sniper bow. And at first, you zoom in on a target, and basically you fire. You don't have to draw back. You just shoot, and the arrow hits the target. But then you unlock the ability where then you get to fly the arrow. It's called I forget what the
it's called the Yondu.
Sort of, yeah. And you can't do real sharp curves with it, but it kind of, I mean, it gets a little crazy, but I mean,
can you just pull up in the general, just get like a general aim, shoot, and worry about steering it?
Yes, you can, yeah. And then you can get to headshots. It slows down time. It's not like you're really fighting it for control. You do have some time there, but they introduced a new combat system where you lock onto targets, and so far I find myself not locking onto the targets. I find myself better off in the combat, and I'm playing on normal, to use my spear, and I can swing it in a general direction of enemies, and I'll hit most of them, and then I'll, like, if enemies attack him from the back, I'll strike him, and it works pretty well. It's pretty fluid as far as the motion goes, and I guess it probably works with the spear. I don't know if it'd work if like I switched to the short sword, but that's another thing is you have a number of different weapons that you can pick. You have swords, dual blades, like small daggers that are real quick and you can cut up people. You have the spear. You have a heavy mace. You have an axe, like a long axe. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. But there's a number of different weapons which are pretty cool, and then they have different abilities on them. Like some will poison targets whenever you hit them, or some will make them bleed whenever you hit them, or some will put them to sleep whenever you hit them, or and they have a random loot system. The only thing I have to say that I dislike up to this point is you have like this pulse. It's called the Animus Pulse, and it identifies loot and stuff, and that fades quick. And I don't know if there's an ability I can unlock that allows it to stay up longer. Right. If there is, that's what I'm going to work for, because that's my biggest complaint is that Animus Pulse wears off too much, and being that there is a lot of loot in the game, I find myself wanting to go to that loot and get it, and being that pulse wears out, and you can hit it again, and there's no cooldown or anything like that, but just always pressing up on the directional pad is kind of a pain in the ass. And then sometimes you'll summon your bird, which is like your drone, which is pretty cool. You fly the bird and mark enemies and treasures and stuff, and that's pretty neat. You know, that works really well. And so, but all in all, it's pretty good. I'm pleased with the purchase, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, I look forward to playing the story. It's the way that the side quests work. They are interesting, and they really get you engaged more than your usual fetch quests. And I do find that to be the case. With the voice acting, it's kind of the character you play as Bayek. It's just not like, I want you to go find this and okay. It's like, oh, what's going on? And then they kind of tell you something, and you're like, oh, okay. And they kind of do a little dialogue exchange, which kind of makes it more than just your typical go fetch quest or go kill this quest. Or
it's actually a conversation, not just, hey, go do this.
Right, and it kind of, it makes it, like I said, it's not just a blank, here's your quest, and then you click OK and you go do it. And it's not to the same level as like in The Witcher 3, you would have these dialogues, and I'm talking crazy dialogues before you go do a quest, and it really felt like you were Geralt, because you had options of, you could be a dick, you could be compassionate, you could be whatever, you know, or you could complete a quest by saying, you know, the person's dead, get over it. You know, and you get a reward, whether it be the max reward or whatever, but you could end the quest however you wanted. You really had a lot more freedom in that aspect, which makes me want to buy The Witcher 3 again even more. Just saying. But no, I think it's in a definite step in the right direction for Assassin's Creed. I mean, the open world, being an open world, it's a game that you will get your money's worth out of, because yeah, you could burn through the story, but there's just so much to do, and it's all relevant and rewarding, and I think whenever you have a game like that you can still build on it, and there is a level cap, but you can still go past that with your abilities, and I think that doing stuff like that really makes it a draw for people, because there is no real, the map is absolutely huge, and I mean huge, I mean ridiculous. It's like, it's almost, I'd say it's bigger than Grand Theft Auto 5, because you have a horse, but you don't have like a plane or anything
right.
to allow you to fast travel. So it might not be, I don't know. I'd like to see the comparison. I'm gonna have to look that up. But it's a big world, and there's a lot to explore in it. Just a lot of caves and tombs and stuff, and so it's a lot of fun. I think if you've liked games in the past and maybe have gotten away from it, this is definitely a game that you jump back in. But like another review I watched said, if you were never a fan of the Assassin's Creed game, this probably, I mean, you could enjoy it, but it's not going to change your perception of the whole brand. And I would also say at that point too, is if this game looks interesting to you and you haven't played it past Assassin's Creed to be even a little bit interested in the story, I'd say you'd be much further ahead to buy The Witcher 3 at $20, especially on the X, you know, if you're getting the X, because it's going to get enhanced too. So you're going to get the best of both worlds. I mean, The Witcher 3 is a phenomenal game. And then on top of that, you know, it's cheap. And so I think that's the way to go.
Now, from the sounds of it, it sounds like, can you approach missions like you can do stealth, or you can just go in guns blazing, but weapons, can you do each, or is it kind of...
Yeah, it's open-ended. It's not like...
Okay.
Like, I tried to do the first mission in stealth, and... Well, the first tough mission. But it didn't really... It didn't really pan out how I wanted it. Mm-hmm. And it was mainly because my bow wasn't... it wasn't comparable to the other one. Right. So, or comparable to an enemy. I should have, if I'd had a more powerful bow, I may have been able to do it better. But
I was trying to see if there were any, if it compared it to any other games.
Well, they did. That first one that you had up there was map size. It was that one.
No, that's, I can't really tell there.
Why don't you click on the link? It's a YouTube video.
Yeah.
Let's watch it.
I don't know if we'll get in trouble for this, but... Oh. No, we shouldn't. It's hard to tell there.
There was one picture I saw. It had like the
like a bunch
size, like a bunch of maps.
This one?
Yeah, what's that like?
I don't know.
Meters squared.
Comparison of every map. Oh, from Assassin's Creed.
Oh. So which one is...
Origins isn't on there.
Oh.
Not on there.
Huh. Yeah, that's the same. Oh, yeah, other way. I don't really see it here.
But, maybe...
This map is used. That
there it is.
That
it
says it all.
That's it.
That's how big it is.
Yep, that's all you need to know.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, if like I said, if you were unsure going into it, I'd say the better buy would be The Witcher 3. I think The Witcher 3 is probably a superior game, possibly on every level, than Assassin's Creed. And I don't know. I don't think neither of you guys have played it, but
no.
I mean, I would recommend. Since now it's only $20, I'd definitely recommend.
I should play it. It's one of those games though that I feel like if I'm gonna get into them, I have to get into
you would,
it. Put
and
some
you
time
would,
into
you
it.
would. I mean, it is a time sink, but it is 100% worthwhile time sink. I mean, your character development and your playing and your just. I mean, every aspect of that game is solid.
Especially, I guess it'd be a good one to try on the Xbox One X.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I got Assassin's Creed. Looking back at it, I probably should have just bought The Witcher. And like I said, I've probably put 4 to 5 hours in on Assassin's Creed. And I'll continue to play it, but at the end of the day, yeah, The Witcher is just a very solid game. I just don't think, in the whole grand scheme of things, that Assassin's Creed is on the same level as that. It's going in that direction, but it's good, but it's just not as good as that. They did announce this week too. The first expansion for Destiny 2 comes out on December 6th, I believe, 5th or 6th. What is it? It's called something of Osiris.
Oh yeah.
It's not the Trials of Osiris. It's something of
something
that.
like that.
And looks good, new gear and stuff. And I think that they're going to use that opportunity for when the expansion comes out to really tweak a lot of the things that they're getting criticized for now, mainly the lack of endgame and the endgame itself. Like, there's an armor set that you get by doing the strikes, but it's so like I did a Nightfall, and I turned in my reward, and I got one piece of armor of that armor set. Well, then I was with my tokens, with my rep tokens, I was like 1 or 2 away from getting the Ingram from leveling him up. So I thought, I'm going to do a strike, and then I'm going to turn that in. And I did, and I didn't get anything for that gear set. And it's so frustrating because it's like the gear sets offer nothing. They, other than aesthetics, they offer really no bonus as far as to your character. I mean, you can basically get that from any other armor set. So it's frustrating that you can't nail down the way your character looks or the way you want your character to look by doing those events. I mean, even like there are people that did Iron Banner for the Iron Banner gear set, and they could have gotten 20 or 30 packages and still not got a complete armor set. Then there were people that could do it 10 times and got the complete armor set. I mean, it was just, there's no checks and balances there as far as duplicates and stuff. And I've gotten, I mean, my vault is almost full. I've got almost all the legendary weapons. And what I do is whenever I get a higher power version, I just put the higher power version in my vault, take the old one out, and deconstruct it. And so then now I've got enough I've got over 1,000 legendary shards. And there's like last week, that's the currency that Zur takes. All his stuff was shit, or stuff I already had. So I had no desire to spend any money, and I just, it's getting to the point where I logged on Tuesday because that was the reset, and I bought some shaders, and that was it. I mean, I really, I should be doing a few things in there, the weekly stuff, but my character's 305. I have almost all my alternative weapons and gear and stuff. I have almost everything of that up to 305. And, it's just there's really nothing more than there's nothing left for me to do other than playing dress up. I mean, I've done the raid. I've tried. I haven't tried trials, but that's because I don't have enough people on to try trials. I mean, my clan has died. I mean, I had a clan that was very active when we went to it, and it was like, oh, this clan's going to be great. And I did do the raid with them. But then, the very next week, that was over. I was glad I got in and did it when I did because they didn't even do it the next week, and they haven't done it since. So it's the community is dying off hard on that game, and they really need to tweak some stuff to bring it back. And even they're raising the level cap to 25 in this new expansion, and I think they're raising the power level up to 330 or I don't know if it's just 330. If it's just 330, I mean that's just that's not a big gain. It's just it's just not enough. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, time will tell. But yeah, I mean at this point it's I'm more excited for the 1.8 expansion for the Division than the expansion for Destiny 2. But we'll see.
Yeah. You been playing anything?
Not too much. Just some Grand Theft Auto 5 and messing around with my hangar.
Did you buy the Batmobile?
Not yet.
Oh, you need to get it because it's not going to be around forever.
Maybe I'll take a look at it.
You need to buy the Batmobile.
I know they're going to give us some free money here at the beginning of November.
Oh, yeah, yeah. What, you get $400,000 or something?
That's piss change. You need to buy that Batmobile now.
I don't know. I like having my millions in the bank.
Yeah, but those millions are just going to sit in there and get dusty. You need to buy that Batmobile.
Yeah, you don't collect interest on those millions.
No, not
Should I buy the Batmobile or should I buy the Knight Rider, the Ruiner?
Oh, no, I think you should buy Batmobile. It has machine guns and rocket launchers and jets that actually work. And going back to Batman Ben Affleck, I did see on CNET they did a review of the remote control Batmobile that came out based off the ones in the new Justice League movie, and they're saying about it being an expensive one. So I looked it up and it was $250.
Wow.
But it did a lot of neat shit. I mean, if I was a Ben Affleck Batman fan, I'd probably buy it. but I'm not. So
You should be now. Now that you won your prize.
Yeah,
No,
they have the cutouts.
I took a shot on that. But no, I mean this Batmobile is pretty damn cool. When it steers, it turns the gun turrets. It's got a camera for point of view that shows up on your Android phone. That's how you control it.
Oh.
Is on the phone, so you can see what you're aiming at. Then if you click the guns rattle like they're firing and they make the noise. It's a remote control car, so obviously it blows, but the suspension, you can jack it up to be on like an off-road mode, or you can lower it down to be fast mode, and then the back will actually shoot smoke out of it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty legit.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed. So, but
Yeah.
it's still Ben Affleck, so it sucks.
Well, that's it for this week. Obviously, seeing Thor this weekend, so we'll be doing a review on that next week. I don't know. We mentioned doing an opening of the new Xbox when we get it.
I still think we need to do that.
We can,
Even
unfortunately.
if I don't get mine till December.
Right, hopefully we'll get one. Of the
They'll
three of us.
they'll be yes, and that's another. We'll touch on this a little bit because we don't know if it's going to be definitively a problem or not.
Right.
We'll be able to tell you next Thursday or
I don't
not.
have my date. I
Yeah.
don't have my date.
Yeah.
I want my date.
There's been a lot of rumors circulating around that at first it was just Amazon, and because I was doing research on it, and I chatted with customer support 3 days this week so far, trying to get them to commit to something, and so I think the problem is I think that they're not sure of when they're actually getting the consoles to them. And I think that some of them have made promises of delivery dates, and I think that the problem is now they're not sure of when they're going to get that console into stock so they can ship it out themselves. And so now the dates are all like me and Mike haven't got a delivery date on ours. Now he got the Scorpio edition, and I had a Scorpio edition too up until last week, and then I decided to get a regular edition. So I kind of knew in the back of my mind that I'd probably be seeing a further release date than you guys. But you have a release date of or a ship date of you're going to get it the 7th, supposedly.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, like Mike, don't have a delivery date yet, and that's kind of. I mean, we're less than a week away from the launch.
Yeah,
I think it'd be coming out pretty soon.
And I had heard yesterday that retailers were receiving their shipments yesterday, and then we would all see an update from Amazon after that. Well, here it is Thursday evening, and
they forgot.
I haven't gotten it. Mike hasn't gotten it.
Oh, is this? Do you know? Is this just Amazon, or is this like
No.
all stores?
Well, now there was a news article that I saw yesterday that other people or people that have purchased this console from other retailers are experiencing the same thing. They're getting they're getting notifications that the date has been pushed back.
Ugh.
And so, and this is on Scorpio editions, mind you. So this is the limited edition that they said we have X amount of these and we're selling them, and they all sold out.
Those would be first, right?
And you
Those
would think that
gate.
wouldn't be a hard thing to guarantee a certain date by. And that's what the frustrating part was, and that's what got me feeling insecure about my purchase earlier. And then I also started seeing some unboxings of, like I said, the all black version, and I was really sold on it. I mean, but yeah, it'll be an interesting episode next week when we touch on that. If we do have one Xbox One X, we'll do an unboxing. If we don't, we will riot.
We'll either be really happy or really upset. We'll see.
I don't know. You'll have to defend yourself if you bring an Xbox and we don't have ours yet.
Well, you'll be safe with me. Now, Mike, you might have to fight off. And for the right amount of money, I can be paid as a bodyguard, so I can help you defend your Xbox One.
Hey, I have the Xbox One. I don't even have an S, so I need this to see the 4K. So.
Well, that one's fault by yourself. You could get one at a discount.
That's true.
So I don't want to hear these excuses if I don't have it. Good.
No, they need to get this. Like, I would expect that from Nintendo. Like, you can't get a console, but I thought Microsoft. I didn't think it would be an issue, but.
Well, my thing is I don't care if they're back ordered. If I had a date saying concrete, this is the date that it's tentatively going to ship, I'd be fine with that. but the whole
There's
lack of communication and not knowing, it just drives me crazy, because it's like, how can you not know?
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me that some of the, like, but then I guess what also added to my frustration was the fact that some of these retailers, like, you could still get on Best Buy, I think this was Tuesday of this week, and get one for release day delivery. So how? But I guess now the reports is that some of Best Buys are back ordered too. So I don't know. At this point, I guess it's too early to tell what's going to happen. I don't know.
Sorry, I'm just so. Do you see comment Bill Swirsky's super fans?
How you doing? How you doing?
What makes a baker's dozen? Yeah. But
one comment just derailed my whole.
Yeah,
my
I
focus.
saw that big shit-eating grin on your face, and I'm like, what's going on here? But yeah, I mean, we'll see. It'll be an interesting episode next Thursday. Whenever we, like I said, we're either gonna be really happy or we're gonna be rioting. So
yeah. All right, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching or listening. We'll see you next time.